Frak, this podcast, come and listen to us talk about Battlestar Galactica. It's a show that we're talking about. Trying to think, what's an adjective for birthday? Sorry, I'm looking this one up because I want to bring up as my birthday. Yeah, I guess that works. But I feel like I've used that. Convivial. What the fuck is convivial? Sorry, these are just weird ones. All right, well, we'll do that one, and hopefully I won't have it doubled up. All right, ready? Ready? You didn't say yes. You're going to use all of this, aren't you?
I might.
Hello, interwebs, and welcome to the Frak, this podcast. I am your jubilant host, Jesse Gender, and I am joined, as always, by...
It's Vera! What are you so jubilant about?
Yeah, you're like, you have no idea, because it's my birthday this week. Yay! I'm turning 34. Yes, that's correct. I am officially entering my mid-30s. I feel like 34 is where you have to be like, I am mid-30s at this point.
Cheers and fuck you.
Yeah. You're gonna die sooner than me, most likely.
Not if I have anything to say about it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. How are you doing, Vera?
I am doing okay. Last week was such a mess on my work schedule. Because the frickin' Doctor Who news about the show, basically going into a new wilderness years hit in the middle of the week and completely fucked my my schedule. I'm still trying to sort out from that. A nice thing though, it was I saw Again.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing it again next week because it's premiering here in LA, and I've already seen it, but I'm going to the premiere, so
lucky.
Yeah.
For folks who don't know, this is the debut feature film from Mia Moore Merchant, and it is very trans, very indie, very interesting concept actually, because it's a post time loop movie. It basically begins the day after someone gets out of a time loop. So it is interesting. It is well performed. It is a gloriously messy movie, and I don't mean that from like a rough around the edges. She doesn't know how to make a movie. I mean the story is messy, and
the emotions and the characters are messy.
Yeah. It's good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, no, I really liked it too, especially considering knowing how low a budget she had for that and how small a crew she had for that. She was like, I think she was working like with 10 people for that thing. And
sounds about right.
Yeah, and it's very, very, very impressive for it. So yeah, no, it's a really good job. I really loved it. So hopefully, listeners, if you get the chance to go and see it in your town, it's premiering in LA. By the time you hear this podcast, it's already premiered in LA, but she is aiming to have it show in other towns. I know she has. We've chatted recently. I think we had coffee a few weeks ago, and she's got plans to show it elsewhere, so it will get around.
And hopefully down the line, it gets proper like mass distribution in some form.
Fingers crossed. We definitely hope so. We stand. And speaking of actually that, this is actually a normal transition, not into podcast stuff. But I actually got a screener for a movie that I want to proselytize. I'm probably going to do a review for it at some point, but it's called She's the He. It is really, really funny. It is a high school, like, raunchy comedy, kind of think like 80s comedy, like sort of things, but it's about two queer folks. So two guys, actually they're not, it's hard to describe what they are. It's two guys who are close friends who everyone thinks that they are gay because they are so close. So to try to, get with some girls, they pretend to be trans women, but turns out one of them is actually a trans woman, and it discovers that along the way. So it is a very funny coming of age raunchy like high school comedy film that is very funny. Some of the lines in it are hilarious. It's not the best line, but it's the one that I've been quoting all week because I watched it with my partner, which they're like running through like the locker rooms. It's like, maybe we can see some boobs, which, as you know, are the pussies of the chest.
Oh,
It was such an like random line that I just nearly died.
oh, good
Oh
grief.
God. Yeah. So it's, if you get a chance to see She's the He, I think it is showing in New York and LA. But I got a screener. It is very, very funny, and another low budget trans comedy. The director is also trans, to be clear. So
Very cool.
hmm
No, hadn't heard of that one.
it's very raunchy, but also very heartwarming at the same time. It's very good. There's another good. Sorry, this is in the first 10 minutes, so I'm not spoiling all the jokes, but there's just another good one where there's like a gay guy, like stereotypical gay guy who like he's playing it up for like because he's pretending to be the gay kid at school, and there's they're playing whatchamacallit, dodgeball.
Ah,
And one of the girls like throws the ball really hard at the gay kid, and the gym teacher's like, "Hey, you can't hit the gay kid." And she's like, "I'm gay." And then he's like, "You're sports gay. That doesn't count."
ah!
It's really good. It's just a very, very funny movie. So I highly recommend it. So
It's bullying if the sports gay beats up the theater gay.
exactly, that was the bit. It's like, that's homophobia. It's like, I'm gay. It's like, you're sports gay. Uh,
All right.
so it's very good. It's a very good notion for a comedy. And speaking of, sometimes we have a great notion, which is the title of the episode we are talking about, the comments of this week. That was decent. That was halfway.
That wasn't bad.
It wasn't
Not
bad. It
bad.
wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. First comment we have is Romler. One other thing to add to the theory that there could be a missing 13th Cylon: the crew ran into trouble when they decided the final five should have the last five numbers, except they'd already long established that Sharon was 8. So,
Which
yeah,
is fucking hilarious.
it is very,
That
very funny.
that is incredibly funny to me. And actually, it explains why they haven't been bringing up anybody's numbers in a while.
No, I
Is that
will
they
say
probably
there
just
is.
realized like, oh shit,
I will say there
we
is
don't even
a.
have our final five clustered together. They can't be.
Yup. I will say there is a retcon that we will get for that I'll talk about when we get there, but it will be coming. That is definitely a retcon on the way.
Uh-huh.
uh, um, let's see. Reading here. Pearl May, good thing Vera had enough restraint to not use the theremin argument. A bully used it on me once, and I shrieked and moaned like a ghost without the guy even laying a finger on me.
There were a few folks who brought up the theremin argument.
Mm.
There was Doc Widener. Um, Good morning, ladies. The Sun famously homophobic, first of all.
Yeah.
And the theremin argument is theremin, great instrument or the greatest instrument?
Yep. Yep. I love the theremin. It's very fun. They actually make it a whole character beat in Starfleet Academy this season. Like a character like identifies with the theremin. It's like, I see myself like as a theremin. It was like, oh, that's a Star Trekiest thing I've seen. So
Oh,
uh
sorry. I gotta find out what I caught. So, you had your interview thing with our friend Sarah, the
mhm.
fat culture critic,
Oh, I know.
and
I saw your comment.
so I commented on it because at one point you were talking about queer, you were talking about joy, and you said, "Well, we can break it down into certain segments of joy." And I commented, "That might be the most Jesse statement ever made."
Yeah, probably. I've learned, I think I said this on the podcast. I have learned that I am Frasier from Cheers in a large
Yeah.
sense. There's so many scenes I watch where everyone's just annoyed by Frasier overly complicating and overly explaining things. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, that's about me.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep, 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 yep. In fact, I so it will have come out by the time we have by the time this recording comes out, but I'm doing a podcast called Starter Trek with Tawny Newsome and Andrew T, which is a Star Trek podcast that Tawny Newsome from Star Trek Lower Decks is doing, and I'm her producer. But one segment that they gave me that Tawny came up with, because she's like, I need you to be able to contain this part of it, is basically what we do for Spoiler Minute, but Jessie gets to over explain her theories about the episode. So I get like a minute and a half to give my complicated, like, here's how this connects with queer theory thing.
Lovely. That
It's
was
very
very
funny.
considerate of her.
It's very considerate of her. And you
Hold
certainly.
on. No, there's one
No,
other comment I want to
no,
read.
okay.
This was another one from Pearl May.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse's ex-gay car sticker foretold the Paramount deal, and she never told us.
Wait, what?
Well,
Ex-gay car sticker? Oh,
because
the
you'd said
Star
you'd
Trek.
had the Star Trek
Yes,
sticker,
yes,
and
yes.
the sun wiped out the gay colors on it.
Mm-hmm.
And Pearl goes on to say, well, okay, as long as we can perform experiments on the sticker and try and turn Paramount into an anarchist co-op.
Ooh, I could do that. It's like some weird, like just mysticism with the sticker where if I put whatever on it, Paramount eventually becomes that. Be very funny. I mean, it did work. It did become white. So, just like Paramount, very white. Alas, alas. Uh, so, that was very disquieting. And speaking of which, we're talking about the episode A Disquiet Follows, the 12th episode of season 4 of Battlestar Galactica, and one that was surprisingly, and I didn't realize this until I started watching it, was 50 minutes. This was a longer episode for some reason.
Yeah.
Doesn't really need it, it feels like. I don't know.
I mean, no, but at the same time, like, I'm not sure there was an obvious superfluous thing to cut.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple like long, we'll talk about it, but there's long extended sequences that I guess you could have cut, but it would have been less powerful. I think there's some of the better stuff of the episode.
Hmm.
All right, let us get into our recap of the episode. Speaking of montage sequences, we start off the episode where Adama wakes up in bed and he fell asleep with papers on him and he's got a lot of work. We kind of see his morning routine that he's basically got a lot of shit that he has to sort of stay on top of, and trying to do. He also sort of reads a quote from a book, which kind of thematically is the point of the episode, where he talks about pain isn't the worst thing; it's pain's successor. When the soul has suffered all it can, which was sort of an interesting thematic note for the episode, and very obviously ties into everything that's going on plot-wise.
Did you hear, audience? We have themes
Themes!
now.
It's a theme! Look, it's a theme! Did you not see the theme?
No, I somehow missed it when you said it point blank, practically staring down the barrel of the camera. Somehow I missed it.
Well, that seems to be a you problem, Vera.
Look, at this point, I know I'm giving the show shit, but like the actual honest reality is that in a show that I was enjoying, I might go, oh, interesting that they kind of tee everything up. But since it's a show I'm not enjoying, I'm just like, you pretentious fucks. It is funny how the exact same thing just hits wrong when it's coming from a source you don't like, even if it's not technically doing it any worse than a situation where you might have liked it.
Ah, sounds like you're talking about Disclosure Day. Anyways,
Ah!
fucking
Wow, you really didn't like that
I
movie.
I honest to God hated that movie. There are look, I've already ranted. I did my review. You can go check it out. So I won't go into it here. And there are people who like it, and I think that that's great for them. I do wonder how much it's getting a Spielberg bump. Like if anyone else had made the exact same movie, would it be getting the same praise? I don't think so. That's a me thing though. Does not have to be for you. I fucking hated that movie so much. So few movies do I literally like make fun of in the theater with my partner. My partner, she's usually the one to be like, don't talk, let me watch, stop interrupting, I want to listen. She was making fun of it with me to the point where and I'm just going to say this, there's a piece at the end of the movie where like people are looking at some footage and I literally was going like, why don't they think it's AI? Why would they think it's not AI? And a character then says like, oh, is this AI? And someone And then someone goes, no, ground truth pixels are verified. It's not AI. And I started laughing hysterically in the theater at the phrase ground truth pixels, at what should have been the climax of the emotional arc of the movie. I am just laughing at ground truth pixels. And I felt kind of bad because I was laughing really hard. And it was a serious moment. Uh, alas. I hated the movie. It sucked. Pissed me off. Anyways, it's one of those. Sorry, last thing. It's one of those movies because I've been working on my own fucking script for a really long time, and then I'm like thinking about all of the themes and ideas and how to make things work, and then I look at this movie, which feels like the laziest fucking version of this type of film I've ever seen. Like shot well, but like script-wise, the laziest version of that type of script I have ever seen in my life. And then seeing everyone fucking praise it, and I'd be like, fuck, well, then I can just, I don't know what I'm worrying about. It's apparently fucking fine.
Well, it's fine if your name is David Coep and you're friends with
Yes.
Steven Spielberg.
Yes.
That's when
Oh,
it's
I know
fine.
that level of lack of criticism would not be reserved for a trans woman. I get it.
Nope.
I understand. Anyways, we then get into what I know is your favorite scene of the episode, which is Ty and Caprica 6 getting an ultrasound with the baby. And it is very like Caprica 6 is like, look at our baby. Oh, look, it's our child. Oh, isn't it great? Yeah. So there's that bit. Let's just talk about that because there's other dynamics going on in the scene that I like better. But that bit pissed me off, and I know you have notes.
I don't know if it's worth saying at this point because I'd just be bashing my head against the wall. Very clearly, this show has decided that this is romantic and this is sweet and this is cute, and it's fucking disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
He was her jailer, full stop. It is a situation where there's literally no ethical way that these two were having sex at the point they were having sex. It would have been one thing. I still would have found it gross, but it would have been one thing if the pregnancy happened after she was no longer jailed.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been one thing. I still would have said it was gross because like they're going with this bullshit power dynamic, but at least it would have been like, okay, but once they're out of that power dynamic, still a questionable way to start any relationship, but then it happened. But no, it happened in the middle of that where there's literally, I'm sorry, literally no ethical way for that to have happened. And if you tell me like, well, she consented with you, you're taking away her agency, you cannot properly consent in a situation where your refusal can result in your harm. That is
Mm-hmm.
not consent. The situation and the dynamics between the two of them make proper consent impossible.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not worth banging my head on the wall because the show has taken its position, and its position fucking disgusts me. But it is what it is, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be throughout this whole thing. I will hate it every single fucking time it comes up. It's not even worth yelling about because this isn't even a case of like because I honestly get more outright angry when it's like this was fixable or this could have been good. This is fucked.
Yeah.
This is irreparably fucked in a way that just leaves me drained. I am angry, but I have no energy anymore. It's just
Mm-hmm.
fucking depressing that this is here.
Yeah, and I mean, there's something you could do. I mean, you have to do it with a lot of care, which the show does not do. If someone who like
No.
thought that she consented and thinks it's cute when it's really not, but the show itself would not need to take that stance. With the show does seems to be.
Yeah.
So, yep. And I will just say this just to emotionally prepare you. Uh, the dynamic, like no future action in this storyline gets worse. Like Ty does not do anything worse than the actions he has already taken. However, there is additional context that you will get that makes it more fucked. So I'm just emotionally preparing you for that.
You know, somebody left in a comment on my video talking about Doctor Who going on hiatus that that they were like, Oh, I think this would be the perfect time to bring in the people behind Battlestar Galactica. And I literally wrote in all caps, never, ever, 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 fuck no.
Yeah, good.
Jesus Christ.
I would like
Ron,
J. Michael
like,
Straczynski though. I'd take him.
I'd take it, but like Ron, some people insist to me that you got better. I don't know. I watched the first two episodes of Outlander. Sure didn't feel like you got any better. But if you got better about some of this shit, good. Please keep improving. But Jesus fucking Christ.
I will say For All Mankind is better,
That's
but
the other thing about
good.
better. It's a relative term.
Yes, there's no wild sexual assault everywhere and like sex and unanalyzed like sex themes in that show. There's and actually for the first three seasons it's rather good, and then you get to modern day like elements of, or close to modern day elements of that series, and then it just makes all the women like get kicked out of the force and then falls in love with the most toxic fucking dude. But anyways, yeah, there's a character. Sorry, this is a bunch of asides. Should stick on the show, but just a quick aside on that show. There's a character, Ed Baldwin, in that show who's like Garibaldi in Babylon 5, is a perfect representation of entitled manhood, and the show like displays it really well, incredibly well written, very realistic. I buy the character as like this is a man who 100% would exist, yet the show seems to think he's the hero. uh, yes.
At least in this, the show knows Baltar's an asshole.
Yes, at least it's got that. At least it's got that. Even Boltar knows he's an asshole, as we'll get to. Anyways, during this sequence, they learn it's a boy. Caprica says, well, this is the future of the entire Cylon race. No Cylon pairing has ever produced a child. Our love produced a child. It's impossible for a race to survive without resurrection, is what she sort of says.
See, like you're skipping over the lines I actually liked
Mm-hmm.
from this. I like that she's all, I have a son, and Ty goes, I need a drink.
Yeah, yeah.
I liked that, and like she said, Cylon pairing has never produced offspring. Believe me, we tried.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true.
Like that's the line that actually made me go, okay. Like
Yeah, there was a lot of fucking. Just trust me, we were fucking all over the place, all in the
yeah.
goo too. There was a lot of goo. We tried to fuck
We tried
the
fucking in
fucking
the
this.
goo.
We tried fucking in the goo. We tried fucking the goo, because the goo, I guess, is Cylon, presumably. So, a lot of
I'm
questions.
I am terrified to look up the common trends and tropes in Battlestar Galactica fanfic.
Oh God, yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of nonsense. Yeah. Do you think there's like Raider on Raider porn? You know, how would that even work? Like the eye slot?
Scar spicy fanfic.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I'm sure it exists somewhere.
somebody wrote it.
Anyways, yes. Anyways, there is a nurse, Ishe is her name, who is clearly kind of perturbed by this idea that the Cylon race might be able to continue. She doesn't say anything, but she clearly is like uncomfortable with the concept. As she's listening to all of this, understandably so. And then she goes over to help Gata, who is there. And Gata is much more overt about his anti-Cylon racism, where he's like, oh, well, I've been waiting here, and you got to make sure the Cylons are taken care of. Suicides are up, president's missing in action, but the Cylons have to be taken care of.
And I mean,
And
it's worth noting he can literally see across the med
yes,
bay Ty and Caprica right there.
yes, yes.
So
Still racist, though.
I'm not saying it isn't racist, but I am saying like he's not just saying that for the hell of it.
No, 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 no. He is at least seeing them. And Ishe sort of points out, like, there's this thing where, his end cap needs to be refitted. At least his complaints. He's having pain in his amputated leg. And so he's complaining about that to her, and she says it's been crazy. And then as soon as, like, she's about to finish up, the chief comes in and says that his kid is peeing blood, which, also annoys Gata because the chief is also a Cylon. So he's like, yeah, can't keep the toasters waiting, go. It's fine. So
Hard R, Jesus Christ, woman.
I'm just saying what he's saying, all right?
And God, so many people have used that excuse. I'm quoting someone who said it though.
Oh God, this makes me one of the white people who says the N-word in a song singing along, right? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the lyrics.
Yeah. Don't
Yeah.
do that, folks. That's a bad
No.
excuse.
No. If that like
To be very clear,
you
unless it's
you
not.
you can sing along to the song. Hell, you can do the song in karaoke, but when that word comes up, you shut your fucking mouth.
Yes. You self-censor that shit. Anyways, we jump over to Adama is giving a press conference. Zarek is standing behind him, as is Lee. And the press is asking a bunch of questions like, we hear the final 5 identities have been publicized. Have you gotten accounting for their actions? We heard Ty is serving as your executive officer. And Adama sort of like dismisses these questions, like, I'm not going to discuss chain of command. Some person asked about your career contemplating forming an alliance with the Cylons, and Adama says, I'm not going to talk hypotheticals. Someone then asks Vice President Zarek, would you support such a move? And after staying silent for a minute, he eventually says, no comment. Which obviously causes an uproar. Then someone asks during that uproar, where is President Roslin? Lee steps in and he says the president is resting comfortably aboard Galactica. But then when someone asks about the identity of the 5th Cylon, Lee accidentally lets slip that we know that she is dead. So now the public is aware that they know who the last Cylon is and that she's a she, but they have not told everyone yet.
Nice one, Lee. Very
Yep.
good.
Yep. Like, he's almost like he's bad at politics.
It's almost like he's bad at everything.
So that kerfuffle just fucking happens. And so Zarek and the Adamas go back after ending the conference. And Zarek lays into Adama, saying, your permanent alliance with the Cylon is out of the question. And Adama goes, are you the president? I get confused. Lee sort of argues this point, and Zarek's like, oh, are you the president again? I get confused what your job is any given day. Which I'm like, yeah, fair. And Laura Roslin is still the president, and Zarek asks where she is. Like, she dropped out of sight since her prophecies about Earth turned to crap, and if you try to shove an alliance with the Cylons down our throat, there will be consequences. To which Adama sort of gets all tough guy in front of him. Is like, oh, then that'll make it easier to hold accountable if there is, to know who's to hold accountable if there is an accident. And Zarek says, I'm not hard to find. I'll be right here running the government. And Adama says, for now. And as Adama and Lee head out, Zarek looks in his desk at a gun that he has
Okay.
there.
Let's also mention like how much the music tilts against him in this, where it's like it's ominous and like, ooh, can't trust him. This was the point that I wrote down, so much Zarek slander, not realizing how much more was going to be coming down the fucking pipeline for this episode.
Yeah, because on a political level with everything here, I agree with everything Zarek does in this episode. Like, except for one thing that we learn, that the show tilts its hand to be like, no, Zarek's a bad guy. Up until that point,
we'll fucking get to we'll get to that shit.
Yes.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I agree with Zarek pretty much all the way through this. Like, not necessarily with the racism part of it, like, because he sort of is playing off these Cylon racism, but he is certainly got a point in terms of how to handle the rest of the civilians when it comes to dealing with the Cylon Alliance. So, yep. We then jump over to Baltar. He is talking to Head 6, and he is himself disillusioned with God. He's like, I have nothing for them. And Head 6 like, well, words will come. And she says, and Baltar says, well, they're not his, they're only mine, and I'm making them up. And she says, well, God speaks through you. You're divinely inspired. You're an instrument. And Baltar argues, well, like, really? So if I go out there and tell them God is a fraud, that'll be divinely inspired. I want to tell them the coaster's come off its track, so enjoy the final fly through the air. And Head Six sort of argues again, like God has a plan for you. He won't let you. And Balthar's like, well, is dying out here in the wastes of deep space part of that plan? And he says, she says, put yourself into my hands. And Balder says, if you were a Cylon or human or anything or mortal in any way, you'd understand that to be alive, you have to go. Um,
You have to
and
let go.
you have to let go. And Baltar heads out to go and sit with the people, and he tells Head Six, perhaps I'll be divinely inspired. You know what I mean, in a sarcastic way.
Yep.
So yeah, Baltar is disillusioned with the G-Man upstairs.
Hmm.
So, which I kind of find interesting. We'll talk more about it in a little bit, but I
Yeah.
do kind of like that. It kind of fits this whole like only having faith when the getting's good sort of thing, and I find that kind of interesting.
Yes, and like it suits him
It does, yeah.
with what happens later. Like, I'm not gonna say this was the intent of the thing, but it unfortunately is gonna lean a little bit into the atheists are just mad at God
Mm.
narrative bullshit.
I think that's I don't disagree with that as a reading. I think it's helped by the fact that we see other atheists in this show, like Adama himself, who aren't just like I'm mad at God sort of
Yes,
thing.
like I'm saying, it's not the worst ever, but that's why I'm saying it leans in that direction as opposed to like laying that at the feet of the show wholesale. But
Hmm.
like, it's there's a balance.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we jump over to Tyrell kind of giving a presentation to Adama and the rest of everybody. Gata's there, Ty, Hilo, Lee. So bunch of folks having a meeting. And Tyrell basically is basically saying, the Cylons will help us upgrade our FTLs, be able to upgrade the entire fleet with Cylon technology. It'll help our ships sort of go that'll triple our jump capacity, that sort of thing. And during all of this, there's a nice little beat where Chief is sort of confusing pronouns and which side that he's on, like we when he means Cylons, but then he goes, us, them, sort of confusing them at different points, and Ty sort of like digs into him at several points, and up to the point where like he confuses it again. He's like, maybe you want a flow chart to help keep it all straight, sort of
Yeah,
thing.
I
So
mean, like, I think it's understandable that suddenly the guy finds us going, with their tech, with our technology, to help us, to help you. And
yes,
it's,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, I like it because it kind of speaks to like Chief is sort of unsure which side he's on, especially given how he's, been emotionally up to this point. Whereas Ty is very much like, nope, I'm on the Galactica side. I'm on Adama side, and he has no real questions about that, which I kind of find an interesting way to show it. So, also pronouns are hard. I get it. It takes some time to get used to them. But yes, so it becomes a discussion around how to sell this to the quorum. Gata is getting frustrated. Like you can clearly see he's getting kind of angry listening to everyone sort of talk about how they're going to make the civilians do this. He's sort of like, well, uh what's the catch? He sort of asks, because there's always a catch. And the chief says, well, the Cylons want to be part of the fleet, full members, citizens, a seat on the quorum. You want Cylon technology, we want safety, and if we're citizens, your oath, pointing to Adama, states that you have to protect us. And Chiefs even argues, I can convince them that the admiral would rather lose the fleet than break the oath. And he sort of takes that and I like Ty as a moment here, like unlike certain other people, and Chief sort of like begrudgingly says unlike certain other people, meaning himself. But yes, Gata is sort of frustrated by this. Is like, you're seriously not thinking about this? And Ty corrects him saying sir, and Gata sort of insubordinately says sir, like sarcastically. And Adama says all options on the table, but this is a political decision and have to run it by the president.
now I'm just gonna note right now,
Mm-hmm.
he calls it a political decision now.
Now, Later on, he does not. Yes,
Later on, he will 180 that.
yes, which I like. I think that's interesting. Um, Also should note too, one element of the dynamic of this that is important, will come back up later, is they will need the Cylons to be the ones to upgrade each of the ships, because one of the options that's presented is like, okay, what if we just have humans go onto the ships to upgrade the ships? And that's a no-go because even the chief himself barely understands the stuff, so they need Cylons to go on board the ships to upgrade them, which will obviously be a harder sell. So that is part of the dynamic of all of this. So
Yep.
um, we then cut outside into the hallway. There's a quick little moment where Hilo is talking to the chief, and Hilo sort of asks about his boy and says, he'll be in our prayers. So Hilo's, connecting with the Cylon friend. He doesn't see Chrome.
My
uh,
wife's a Cylon.
yeah, my wife's a Cylon. I have Cylon friends, My best friend's a Cylon. Oh, God. But Ty confronts Gata, and he says, your attitude problem, is there something you want to get off your chest? And Gata says, not particularly. Well, then he's like, let's get some things straight. I don't care what you think about the Cylons. You will follow the rules if you wear that uniform. You'll respect the old man. And then he says, something else you want to say? And Gata says, not yet. And Ty says, you let me know. And Gata says, you can count on it, sir. So very much like riding on that edge of insubordination there, real close. So Gata's starting to not give a shit. Look at Gata developing a character after 4 seasons. We then cut to Adama and Lee talking. And Lee's sort of pointing out the president stopped returning my calls, and Adama says, well, she's just going through a rough patch right now. It'll take time. We're going to need to know her stance on this citizenship thing, though, Lee points out. So he says he'll talk to her. He tries to call her, but we cut to Roslyn, and she is laying out all of her pills that she's supposed to take for her cancer, and then she tosses them into the trash and just drinks the water without swallowing any of them and ignores the call as well. So, it's a really good scene. I really like the acting scene by Mary McDowell.
Yeah, she does a good job.
Yeah. Then we cut to Coddle and the Chief, where they're learning what's up with Chief's kid. I was waiting for this for so long because you called it a fucking while ago. But the show seems to have ignored it until this point. Sorry, for listeners, if you're not watching the video version of this, Vera is very pleased with herself, twiddling her thumbs with her face. But yes, we do learn that Chief's kid is having renal failure and might lose a kidney, so they need to start dialysis. And Chief's like, all right, well, we should, do you need to start tapping my blood? And Coddle tries to play it off as like, oh yes, for sure, we definitely need to do that. And Ishay, the nurse, is like, you need to tell him he's the father. And he's like, oh, what? God damn it. So he pulls Chief aside and he says, I was bound by doctor-patient confidentiality and it still applied even though she's dead. And Chief sort of figures it out like, Callie, that Chief is not the father of the kid, that Callie found out she was pregnant before they married, did a paternity test after the child was born, and found out that Chief, you are not the father. And Connell will not tell Chief who it is just yet, because he doesn't want him to find out from a pissed off father. So I'll tell him, and then the two of you can work it out on your own.
So to steal a quote from Danny Mata, today's forecast, partly cloudy with the 100% chance of that thing I fucking said would happen.
Yes, it's just wild. Like, sure, it's fine as a retcon to make this make sense, but it's wild that like no one really thought about it until this point.
It feels like a decision rooted in the fact that somebody suddenly realized that if they didn't do this, that there was a second miracle child in addition to Athena, and now whatever the fuck the Ty and Caprica's kid's gonna be. And they suddenly realize, oh shit, we need to make clear Nikki is not special. Now, the alternative is that they knew early on that this was going to be the case and that Nikki didn't matter, and then that instead resulted in the sin of the narrative also treating Nikki like he wasn't special, and just expecting the audience to be fucking idiots because
Hmm.
like that's the thing. I'm trying to figure out how I'm insulted by this. I'm
Hmm.
either insulted by the fact that nobody fucking noticed for like half a season.
It was the only time it was mentioned is when Chief was having his breakdown after Callie's death, and his vision of Adama like calls his kid a half breed at one point. So that
Yeah,
it did get an oblong reference. So
that's literally the only acknowledgement of this entire idea. So either the show forgot its own shit until right now, in which case, what the hell's wrong with the entire writer's room? Or they thought that we wouldn't notice, and so they wouldn't have to deal with it.
yeah, I think that that's the one because it's clear they brought it up with a half breed thing, so it is acknowledged, but it's one of those like I don't think they were like I don't know how we deal with this until this point. So yeah.
I know. It's almost as if it was a shit plot turn in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
So
like and now let's just make his wife uh you know having cheated on him in
mm,
addition, because why the fuck not, she's dead. Let's just make everybody hate her more than maybe they already did.
I mean, the fandom, sure, I'm sure probably fucking was sexist as shit. I will at
Like
least,
the show internally does not use this as an occasion to moralize at the corpse of Callie. I will grant you that. However,
yes, yes. I think the fandom maybe does. That was actually one thing I was going to praise about this. Praise maybe too hard of a thing, but at least, yeah. I will at least say I appreciated the fact that at no point during this storyline is there any judgment put upon Callie. Like, Chief never's like, that fucking bitch cheated on me. There's none of that happens. So I at least do appreciate that. So, yeah.
sure.
I'm sure the fandom was not that at the time.
Oh, I do. Jesus Christ.
But at least the show does not. So at least that is again maybe not praiseworthy, but at least it's like, well, at least you didn't step in that
It
piece of shit.
it could have been worse. Congratulations on not being worse,
Yeah, yeah.
because the
Um
bar is in hell.
anyways, we then have Adama and Rosalind talking, and Rosalind stretching and doing like some light workout stuff. And Adama's sort of catching her up on everything. We need to sway public opinion towards us, not against us. Lee thinks the Zarek and the Quorum can be handled, and then Dom starts questioning, "Are you sure you're up for this, like stretching?" And she's like, "I haven't felt this good in months." And Dom asks, "Well, when's your next treatment?" And she says, "Tomorrow." And he says, "Good." And then Adama says, "Lee thinks, and I agree with him, that you need to address the fleet." And Rosin says, "Well, I just need a little time." And Adama says, "Well, we need you." And she says, "Yeah, I just need a little time." And Adama warns her not to overdo it.
And I'm glad they don't stretch this out too long, because I think they do kind of stretch credulity a little bit. That
Mm.
Adama doesn't clock immediately in this scene what's going on.
Yes.
But thankfully they don't stretch it too far past this.
I think the way it's played, I think he does know, but at least he's giving her the chance to prove him wrong. At least that's the way. Maybe it wasn't the intention, but I think it feels like the way that he's playing it, the actors play it, Edward James almost is playing it, is he kind of knows, but at least he's giving her the chance to not disappoint him. I think is how it goes. So
Ah,
that's at least how I feel it's kind of played.
yeah, sure.
But again, maybe that's not the intention. But anyways, we then have a scene between Starbuck and Gata, because Starbuck is in sort of the crew lounge sitting alone, and Gata comes in to basically poke the bear a few times. And, she's like, "I'm not in a mood for this feeling." She's like, "You think I give a frack about your mood?" And she like basically keeps instigating her. It's like, "You tried to throw me out an airlock. Collaborating with the enemy was the charge. Turns out that jury was filled with two Cylons and a woman married to one." And I mean, fair enough. Fair
I
enough.
mean, like, a comment we didn't read is that somebody left is, okay, this means that Cavill like coercively raped Ellen,
Hmm.
who was trying to protect Saul, and literally all three of them were Cylons.
Yes. All three of the head of the resistance on New Caprica were Cylons.
That's really fucked up when you think about
Yeah,
it.
it kind of is. It really kind of is. Kind of fascinating. And again, put a pin in it. It'll be more fucked up soon enough. At least that one, in a way, the show acknowledges. But we'll get there. We will get there. Um,
We
if you want fucked up, just you wait. We haven't even gotten to fucked up yet.
I hate you so much.
Yeah, we'll get there.
I hate you
At
for making me watch this fucking show.
least now you know. At least you've gone through it. Now you can talk about it. At least it's a thing. I just can't wait for it to come up as examples of a show that you hate in your videos. Anyways,
Like people are gonna, it's gonna be the fucking Shining all over again. People are like, you casually mention how much you hate this. Why do you hate that? I will just point at the podcast. Listen to how
you came into this with such hope.
listen to this podcast series and listen to my hopes and praise for the show slowly melt away until there is nothing but this gnarled, cynical ball of hate.
I love it. It's fun at this point for me. I
Uh,
got it, or else it's gonna be nothing for anyone here. And this is just we're just dragging ourselves across the coals. We're almost there, Vera. I think it's only what 3 more months? 3 more months. 3 more months
Shut
and
the fuck up and get back to the
3 more months
synopsis.
until we get Boxy again, because Boxy's a character in the original show.
Honestly, I'm really looking forward to Boxy right now. I will take Boxy 10 times over this entire fucking cast.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. To be fair, I like the cast. There's nothing against the cast.
Fine, cast of characters. How
Yes,
about
yes,
that?
yes. The cast of like actors are generally pretty good.
The actors are not the problem. I find that 9 times out of 10, the actors are almost never the problem. The
Hmm.
problem is far more often writing and direction.
Hmm. Anyways, so yeah, Gata keeps poking the bear here. Like she's like, "Ah, rim shot," and he's like, "I haven't even gotten to the leg yet," and he's like, you know, she's like, "Are you enjoying yourself? How you get your is this how you get your kicks? Oh, half kicks." So yeah, Starbucks starts making some cripple jokes at Gata. And Gata points out, "What do you think Sam was doing on Caprica before he met you? You think he nuked a few cities?" Um, he's like, he says, "One day there'll be a reckoning," and she says, "Is that a threat?" And he says, "Yeah, it's a threat." And she says, "You know where to find me, and just I definitely will hit a cripple or anyone else," as she says to the room. And then as she leaves, Gata sort of looks around at the people who heard all of this, and he says, "Someone close that hatch. Let's talk." So he talks
Hmm.
to the crew. So something's a brewing with Gata.
Mutiny's afoot.
Mutiny, I say. It's mutiny. Righty. We jump over to Zarek speaking to the quorum along with Apollo, and he is sort of making the argument that Lee is making the argument of like, hey, look, the silent technology, it'll be great, it'll help increase the chance of us finding a new planet, all of this stuff. And some of the quorum members are like, we're being asked to allow Cylons unfettered access to our ships. Do you not think that that's a problem or a valid concern? Which fair, considering how the whole thing with the 12 colonies got started.
I was saying,
Um,
considering the reason any of this has happened.
yes, yeah, yep. Um, then Zarek calls a vote, and he gives this little speech before he does it, and Nadama calls him out by saying it was like, you have to call a vote, not give a speech. But I do like the speech, because he says again, and I'm on Team Zarek. He'd have gotten my vote, I guess, when he says, "In prison you start to confuse hopes and dreams with reality. You start to believe that because you want something to happen, that it will happen. You live on wishes, like you're gonna get out, and the parole will happen, because you can't face reality." And he says, "The reality is the Adama Roslin administration has led nowhere. Earth was a fantasy that used to hold power over the democratic wishes of even the population. And what they are doing now after they failed is turning to the Cylons. And aren't the Cylons the reason we're out here in the first place? Aren't they the enemy? Or are they friends now because they help them," meaning Adama Roslin, "hold power?" So it was actually a pretty good speech.
Mhm.
And he moves that the captains of the ships will be the ones to make the decision on whether the Cylons can come aboard their ships or not. Lee sort of argues against this, like we need unity, and the vote passes 11-1, with Lee being the one dissenting vote. So, and then everyone, as Lee heads out, everyone goes up to thank Zarek. So he is getting more and more quorum support with his essentially states' rights vote. Yeah.
And shock of shocks, he's not wrong.
Nope.
He's not wrong. He's never fucking wrong.
Yes.
But the show makes it all ominous and it makes it seem like he's doing the wrong thing, either maliciously or out of ignorance. Like the whole framing of this scene is so fucked because he's right.
hmm Like,
He's
look,
right.
the only reason he's not right in just from a stand back standpoint is because we know that the Cylons, at least for the most part, the renegade Cylons are earnest to a degree
Yeah.
in their
But that
desire.
is an unfair thing to
Yes,
expect
no
him
one.
to
Yes,
believe.
and also like asking everyone to be like, yeah, we trust them now for the people that were, as we know, complicit in a genocide of everyone. So like, yeah, you're asking people to like be chill with like working with people who are complicit in the genocide of your people, and then like they don't know that these Cylons are earnest in their desire to work with people. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And actually, can I be honest?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little mad at you for making the states' rights comparison.
Oh, really? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, because it makes them more Republican coded, but yeah.
Well, it's not even about him being Republican coded. It's that, like, I'm actually glad the show doesn't seem to parallel that position. I'm a little mad at you for doing it because, like,
I mean, I make it offhandedly,
these
not
are people
earnestly.
who literally, not figuratively, not fear-mongeringly, literally tried to wipe the human race off of out of existence entirely.
To be fair, I was making it more flippantly as just a joke, not as a
I
earnest
know,
analysis of the scene.
I know, but it was sitting in the back of my head. And I'm like, I need to call bullshit on that before
Fair enough.
somebody in the comments does, because no,
Fair enough.
no.
Fair enough. It was not, to be very clear, it was not my earnest analysis of the scene. It was an offhanded comment joke. But yes, fair. But yes, no, as I've been saying too, I agree completely with Zarek on this point, for all the reasons stated. Zarek
Yeah.
is right.
Like
You get my vote.
the like you said, the only extent to which he's not right is stuff that it's not reasonable for him to know or it's not reasonable for him to accept.
Or
It's
not
stuff that
reasonable for him to not call into, even if he did think that, like not unreasonable for him to call into question again, given everything.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. It's just we're expected to take the meta knowledge of the audience that that mean though well that means he's wrong. I'm like, he's not though.
Yes, that's
That's he's not.
yes, that's my thing with this. Yeah. So, mm. Well, we then cut to Rosalind. This is kind of a montage sequence, and part of the montage sequence that we get is Rosalind is running. She's running really, really hard, like doing a full-on workout through the Galactica. As this is going on, Adama gets a call, and he's pissed off, and he goes down to the Viper Bay deck to talk to Frigursky, who is the guy who took over for the chief when the chief resigned from being the chief, even though I keep calling him chief. So Adama's kind of angry. I'm like, it turns out 20 people have been reporting sick, and Ferguson's giving like excuses. And Adama's like, bullshit. They're doing that because they don't want to come in. You used to pull the same crap. 10 birds cannot be offline. That cannot happen on the ship. So you're going to go down there and get your biggest pair of boots and shove them up their ass and get this place cleaned up. It looks like a garbage scow. So he's chewing Fergursky out. For all of this, as people have like slowly become more and more insubordinate and not showing up for work. But as he's doing that, he sees Rosalind running, and he's like, "You've got to be kidding me!" And
Yeah.
so Rosalind goes,
And this is like this is earlier established, like very early in the morning, because we see Adama get the call for this, and even has to
mm,
be like, no, I've been up for an hour. So like Rosalind probably did not expect to get spotted on this.
No, she did not. And he cuts her off while she runs. And I do like how this scene is played. He's like, "Did you run the whole route?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's a big ship." And he's like, "You
Well,
look
no, she
good."
says she did half of it.
Yes, and she's like, "You look good. And I was like, thank you. He's like, you're not supposed to look good. You're supposed to be in sick bay with a tube in your arm. And she sort of says like, oh yeah, yeah. And he's like, bullshit. You never intended to go. Um, and she's like, well, send me to the brig. I can run there. And he says, well, you're experiencing a moment of euphoria as you're recovering from the toxins. And, he says that I know this because the president's health is a security risk. And she says, you'll have my resignation on your desk. And Dama says, well, I'm not handing over presidency to Zarek. And she says, well, then the status quo will have to do. We have to, and Adama says, well, the government is spiraling. We need you. And then Roslin says, I played my role in this farce. A dying leader will blah, 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 fucking blah, essentially. And she's like, I've been there, I've done that. Is there another role I have to play with the rest of my life? Do you remember what we said on New Caprica? Live for today. Well, you better think about that because tomorrow may not be coming. Today may be all we have left. And I've earned the right to live a little bit before I die, haven't I? And he says, yes, you've earned it. And she says, guess what? So have you. And then she kisses him. And then she says, get out of my way. So,
Yep.
which I really liked the scene. It was very good.
Yeah,
So,
no, it's a good scene.
yeah, probably my favorite scene of the episode. And I think, is this the first time that they've kissed since New Caprica on screen?
I think so.
Which, honestly, I would have liked this to have been their first kiss.
Yes.
Honestly, if this had been their first kiss, I think that would have been really, really good.
Honestly, yeah, I don't think I would have even bitched about it.
Yeah, I think it would have worked really, really well given where Rosalind's at. And honestly would have fit thematically better, where she's like, I've earned the right to live my life, and then she kisses him for the first time, and it's her like choosing something that she wants for herself and not the role she's supposed to play. So would have been really good. Unfortunately. I say that as someone who generally thinks their romance is the best and probably the only good one on the show.
No, I still stand by Starbuck and Sam.
Sam, yeah, that's a good one as well.
Like
and also Hilo and Athena
it's not necessarily
terrible.
like a good and wholesome relationship, but it's a fascinating one and it's well written.
Yes.
Honestly, Hilo and Athena is kind of boring as fuck.
Let me put it this way. I think it is boring, but at least it's not bad once they're together. The first season 1 stuff with them is bullshit, but like them as a couple, I'm like, fine, sure.
Season 1, Hilo just never asking questions for like weeks. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh, back when I thought like, oh well, this is just a random fluke of bad writing. This isn't indicative of the show as a whole. Because I was naive in those halcyon days.
Well,
back when I was 43.
It is interesting because I see a lot of think pieces now for this show where it's like HBO, like the show has moved over to HBO Max. It is funny how we just with this podcast kind of just missed when it was on any streaming service. Like we started off, it was on Amazon Prime, then it went off, and then now as we're wrapping up, it's back on HBO Max. So yeah. Anyways, there's like a lot of think pieces being written about like, oh, it's the best sci-fi space opera ever that I keep seeing is like this best sci-fi space opera ever is now back on HBO Max or whatever. I'm like,
eat shit.
Babylon 5 is right there, as is Star Trek Deep Space Nine, as is The Expanse.
Fuck, I wouldn't even call most of those space opera. You want space opera? I will shove Farscape down your goddamn throats.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. Anyways, Baltar. Over with Baltar, he is giving another one of his sermons, but it is his disillusioned with God sermon, essentially, where he said, what manner of forgiveness are we seeking? That of a disobedient child? Are you a just child who's transgressed against father? And we sort of get people in the crowd like, oh, we've done nothing wrong. We've been punished for a multitude of sins. It's like a very sarcastic sort of speech here. Is this really a lot to have been led by a father to the promised land? We shouldn't have to suffer. Someone also says, only have paradise cruelly smashed to bits. Are these the actions of a father towards a child? And Head 6 sort of like is saying like, this won't help. You're letting your anger blind you. And, Baltar keeps going. He's like, what kind of father abandons his children to disappear and die in loneliness? Perhaps it is God who should beg for forgiveness. And he sort of starts inciting people to like get angry at God. And the chief is there. And as he is listening,
hold on, before we get to Chiefs, bit and where you're going with that. Let's just talk about what's going on here.
Yes. Okay.
With Baltar first. So, Apparently, somebody woke up on the wrong side of the orgy this morning. Um, I think it's worth noting that, it's actually established very early on that there is a literal child in the room,
Mm-hmm.
like sitting in front of him. One of his followers brought her kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so he starts going off on this. And you can even see early on, he starts and he's like, "Are we children?" And he like sees him like, "Well, you actually are, so don't worry. This doesn't apply to you." But like he's going off on this God is the universe's worst father and should be begging us for forgiveness in front of a literal child. Like
Mm-hmm.
he can't even pull himself together for the sake of someone too young to even understand where the anger's coming from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because this whole thing is like, oh, have we done something so wrong that God would, punish us, sort of thing? And it's like, a child can't understand that because most childs haven't done anything that bad yet, generally
Nope.
speaking. So, yes. So, yeah, I do like that bit quite a lot. Fits his character of like grievance. He's just a man of grievance is all he is. If he's not getting his way, he's aggrieved about it. So
Yep.
the universe owes me shit. Anyways, Chief, during all of this, sees Hot Dog is listening to everything, and he recognizes that Hot Dog is the father. You are the father, Hot Dog. What's so funny? Just Hot Dog is the father?
Did he and Callie even have a fucking significant scene
I
at
don't think
any
so.
fucking point in this goddamn show? I swear they just pulled him out of a hat.
Yeah, we need the one to be the dad. Who hasn't fucked anybody yet? Hot Dog.
I bet you the only reason they didn't have it be Figursky is because somebody went, "Ew, he's fat. We can't have that be the case."
Yeah, probably. Honestly, Figursky probably would have made more sense. Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
At least there would have been more excuse for them to interact.
Yeah. Like it's not like the pilots don't interact with the mechanics, but most of the times we've seen them, they're like annoyed with each other. It wasn't exactly a big bonding experience between the two groups, and like, oh yeah, she was just banging this pilot. And of course, a million questions come up that will never be answered because the show doesn't care and it doesn't fucking matter. But like once on a regular basis, if it was on a regular basis, why did she tell him they were stopping? Did he care about her? Did she care about him? Doesn't matter. This is only here to cover for the fact that the baby that Nikki doesn't matter. That's the only
Mm-hmm.
reason any of this.
Yes.
Fuck off,
Well, Chief
man.
basically goes
God
over
damn.
like Hot Dog starts making his juice or whatever. Coddle told me I didn't know we should talk, but Chief just punches him and a fight breaks out. And Baltar sort of takes this as like this is the kind of result of my sort of inciting everybody. And Head Six says, "Feel any better?" And Baltar sort of realizes, oh, they'll do anything I tell them to, won't they? And she says, "They're your flock. They'll follow you even into blasphemy." And he says, "Ah, flock, a great word for sheep." And then Head Six points out, the father's contempt for his children, isn't that what you were just preaching against? Which I did find interesting as an idea. But then Baltar says probably the most self-aware line he's ever said in his life, which is, "If I'm their father, these people are more trouble than they know."
Yeah.
So
Wake up, sheeple!
yes, but I did like that connection of like him being like, these fucking idiots, and her making that connection to like his view of God. So yeah,
Yep.
I thought that was kind of an insightful little beat there. Anyways, we then cut to Ty, Hilo, and Adama coming onto the bridge, and we sort of learn like, there's like been a goddamn uprising. 10 ships are refusing orders for Cylons to come onto their ship. And Gata, who's listening to this, says they're not doing anything illegal. The Quorum gave them permission to not allow any Cylon or Cylon technology aboard.
Well, it's
And
worse than you said because 10 are refusing the orders. 10 are not even acknowledging that they received them.
yes. And so Gata makes that point. And then, as you sort of alluded to earlier, Adama says, well, the jump up drive upgrades are a military decision outside the authority of the Quorum. And Gata says, you alone get to make that determination, sir, after looking at Ty for that final sir. And Adama's like, yes, do you have a problem with that? Um, so yeah, I like
So
that.
if before somebody splits hairs in the comments, technically he said what was the diplomatic issue was the citizenship of the Cylons, and technically saying what is the military decision is the installing of the jump drives. But all of this has been all lumped together in conversations anyway. So I think it's still fair to call it him flipping pretty casually his position on whether or not this is his call to make.
Because
And I
he's not
just
going
put
to win
down
the
in my
political
notes,
point.
dude, you cannot force someone to take the help you think they need. And like that's if there's one thing if I could hammer into more people, it's not even that you don't necessarily know what's best, but if someone doesn't think you do, you can't force them
Mm-hmm.
to see it your way. You
Mm-hmm.
can't. And if you try, you're going to at best breed resentment, if not actual hatred.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody will thank you for forcing them to do something, even if it's what's best for them.
Yep. Yeah, it's actually something ironically. I'm listening to the Dungeon Crawler Carl audiobooks right now, and that's actually a point that I was reading in book 7 right now, where like people are all like trying to force a character to do something that they think is best for them, and Carl like makes a point of stopping them and being like, "No, we can't force them to take the help. Like
Yeah.
that's their decision."
I
So,
mean, that's true on a macro and on a micro level. Like if you've
mm-hmm.
ever had someone in your life who you know needs to stop doing something or start doing something to start pulling these things together, you try and force them to that. That's a friendship you're not going to have anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks. It fucking sucks to stand by and know that there's something that they could do to help and they refuse to do it. But
Yeah. I
you
what
have sometimes the only thing you can do is to let people suffer the consequences of their own bad decisions. And especially if it's somebody you care about, and we know Adama cares about these other ships and these people, that makes it fucking hurt. But still,
yeah, what's frustrating here is there is a way to how do I describe this? So I do put think that this flip-flop from Adama is interesting. And I do like that Gata calls it out. And again, we'll talk about as this episode goes on and like or sorry, this storyline goes on, I should say, into future episodes. Because I'm curious to see how much the show uh to what level the show goes. Zarek and Gata have a point because I think they do in
I
the
think they
show.
absolutely do. I will
And
say, like, we haven't roped Zarek into Gata's storyline yet in the episode, but
it
I
will
think I'll
get to
just
at the
say
end, but
now,
yeah.
as presented in this episode, it's definitely positioning them as like the functional villains until Cavill and the other Cylons show up.
Mm-hmm.
That's narratively how they're being positioned.
Yes, and that's why I'm sort of like I want to see how this plays out because I know where the storyline goes, and I want to see if I recall how much of a like it is going like it's very clear like this is going to be like they're the bad guys to our main characters, but I'm trying to think of how much it is like they're the bad guys to our main characters, but they have a point sort of thing. Sort
Hmm.
of like, and this movie itself has messy politics as well, but like as something like Black Panther would
Hmm.
do with Killmonger. Whereas like Killmonger wasn't fully correct, but at least he had a point in the show. Like is nudges Black Panther's character a little bit as a result of that. Still has an issue because it is sort of like the like oh well we'll take into the system the critique from the radical who's going too far. But at least there's a level of acknowledgement of some point that is being made there. Whereas
Here's what I'm going to be curious about is whether, because I could see this going one of two ways. I will be curious as to whether they have Gata and Zarek, quote unquote, go too far and do
mhm.
something unconscionable to ensure that the audience isn't on their side. Or if they just take it as read that they're wrong and don't even do that extra step and present them as being the bad guys regardless, which would just show such ignorance of what they've written.
Well, yeah, that's so. This is what I was trying to get to. So the point that I'm trying to get to. So there's that element of the background of this, but like the thing that I want to point out is I do find the fact that Adama flip-flopping on this and being kind of a hypocrite when it suits him is very interesting, because it's like he knows he's not necessarily going to win the political game anymore, because he thought he could have, or at least had a chance to earlier because he had Roslyn. But now that Roslyn's kind of abdicated things, he's being like, all right, I'll be more authoritarian and shove this on them as the easy route to get what I want, which I like that as an interesting thing. Again, whether it explores it, because there is an option that he could play that would be fully within his rights to do and would probably get him the results that he wanted, which is play hardball and be like, okay, you don't want the upgrades. That's fine. We'll upgrade the ships that want them, and I'm going to upgrade my ship, so I will jump as far as I need to jump. And if you don't want my help, you're on your own. And that would probably be a way to get people to be like, fuck, we don't want to lose the Galactica, so we'll upgrade our ships. And that would at least be within his rights to be like, I'm not forcing it on you, but if you want my help and my thing, then you have to upgrade the ships. So, like, it would have been a way to go. It would have been strong arming, and I'm not saying ethically right, but at least it would have been within his sort of like legal purview to do. So,
Yep.
But again, whether or not that's explored, I don't remember. We'll find out. So, all right. So all that's going down, and Gata has a point here, but we then learn that the crew of the Tillium ship has mutinied. Goddamn working class assholes always mutinying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you let them unionize.
Yeah, right? Funny how that does not get acknowledged at all in this, but regardless. Turns out they
No,
killed
not very funny at all, actually. Very
Yeah.
telling.
That was, yeah, I know. My sarcasm, if it wasn't clear. But anyways, it turns out they killed the Cylon and 2 Marines. So Adama launches Assault Raptor, which Athena is on, to go after them. They start pulling away from the fleet and spinning up their FTL drives, and they start to catch a call between them and Colonial One. And we learn that Zarek is basically giving them advice. They're like, what do we do? And he says, well, every citizen has the right to protect themselves from oppression. Take whatever measures you deem necessary. Which, again, correct.
Yeah.
And so right before the Raptor is able to land on the Tillium ship, it jumps away. And then Adama calls Athena and orders her to board Colonial One and arrest the vice president, and authorizes deadly force if he resists.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep.
Oh no, Zarek, what a villain. He was giving diplomatic, governmental, legal advice to people
civilians
who did not just want to roll over for the demands of the military. What a fucking monster.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we then cut to a scene between Hot Dog and the Chief. They have testosterone themselves out and are now with Chief's kid, with the kid, their kid, I guess. And Hot Dog says, I didn't know anything.
2 dads.
2 dads. We got 2 dads. Got my dad and my other dad, who isn't with my dad, but you know, is a dad. Yeah.
Here's my dad and my dad. They hate each other.
Yeah. They work out their sexual aggression by punching each other. Anyways, it won't be confusing at all for a child, I'm sure. But anyways, Hot Dog's like, you won't even know who I am, and Chief points out, well, he barely knows who I am at this age. And Chief says, we'll make it work. As much as I'd love to walk out that fracking door right now. And he's like, all right, lessons in parenting. If your kid is in the hospital, never leave him alone. Someone is always here. You get first shift, Dad. And Chief says, well, Hot Dog says, how long do I sit here? And Chief says, until I get back. That'll be after I sober up. Don't move from that fracking chair. So, yep. Yeah. Like I said,
if this thing is going to be a thing that happens, this is fine.
Yeah, it's a way to do it. You know, they testosterone themselves out, and then Chief is, kind of, he's mature about it at the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I said, it's a covering for a narrative plot hole that they needed to figure out. But certainly, in terms of how to handle it, it's not the worst way they could have. At least they didn't end up in sexism. So. Yeah. Which for this show again is a low bar, but certainly one it does not always cross. Anyways, We then cut to the scene that we have been alluding to this whole time, which Zarek has been arrested and he is sitting in the what am I blanking? The brig.
The brig.
Yes. Adama comes in and he has a folder that he says is of transcripts and shipping records, documents from over the past year of Zarek buying and selling the vice president's office. And so Zarek says, what? This is a conversation about extortion. And he says, law and order, call it whatever you want. I believe that you would happily walk to the gallows or languish in a cell if you could be a martyr, but to be publicly humiliated with your hand in the till, now that would upset you. Somehow I don't think the legend and the myth of Tom Zarek can survive the airing of that much dirty laundry. And then Zarek argues like, well, you think a fleet is going to sit still long enough for a very overtly politically motivated trial while you try to sub the Cylon Alliance down our throat? And he says, Adama says, I don't think we'll be going anywhere with the Tilium ship, without the Tilium ship, but at least we won't be bored. I think you know where the Tilium ship is because I know that you do. And then he walks out and says, read the file, some juicy stuff in there. And then Zarek basically writes down the coordinates, tosses it on the ground for Adama to pick up. And he gives him the location very frustratingly. And then Adama picks up the folder and Zarek says, what are you going to do with that? And he says, put it in a safe place. And then just to give us the full context when we talk about this scene, he immediately goes out and talks to Ty and gives him the coordinates, says this is where this is. And he says, I'm going to go be with the president and get a rest. And he says, file this away. And Ty looks inside of it, and it turns out it was laundry reports. So Adama was bluffing the entire time.
I hate just about everything to do with this fucking scene.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I called it almost immediately. My first note for this scene is, wait, is this even real?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. I can tell you how they could have played this that I would have been fine with. And I would have been fine with Adama openly acknowledging that it's all bullshit, but claiming that they can build a case regardless. It doesn't have to be real. They can build the case, and he has a record and everything. Basically, like threatening to frame him.
Mm-hmm.
That would have worked. And for a while, I even wondered if that was what he was doing. But by the end, it is very clear that the implication is he bluffs Zarek, thinking that Zarek has in fact been dirty, and that as a result, Zarek will cave, even though Adama has absolutely no evidence whatsoever. Which just makes this narratively the most cowardly way as writers to discredit Zarek, because they're just completely pulling this out of their ass, where there has been zero basis upon which any of this makes sense. Like, they didn't even bother to come up with realistic charges to level against him. It's like, oh, you've been selling the office of the vice president. No, he fucking hasn't. Like, look, he has connections with shady shit. He's probably even done some weird shit just with keeping contact with the people that he was in prison with, who are probably doing some shady shit, and he's not turning them in because of solidarity. There's probably something there, but instead, they just let this implication hang that, no, he's definitely a bad guy. See, he knows he did bad stuff. It's that thing like, spank your child every day. If you don't know why, he will. It's just pulling that shit. It's so fucking lazy. And what a shit way to discredit the guy who has been fucking right in this episode and in almost every instance we've seen him. I will grant his first appearance, couple of things I'm like, nah, dude. But basically since then, I've been on his side for every fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to have realized at this point, like, oh shit, we can't risk the audience being on his side. You fucking hacks. You
I know,
lazy fucking hacks.
I was very frustrated at this as well. Because it's I thought he was fabricating evidence too, and that Zarek was like upset at first, being like, oh, you're going to make a politically motivated trial against me by faking all this evidence. which would read is true because he has like he's been a freedom fighter on his planet. And as we see in real life, like people who are resisting oppressive movements get labeled as terrorists, and that will like just characterize them in the public's eye for forever, even if there are people who understand that they're not that. So yeah, I really dislike this, and it upsets me, especially now, because again, it's the show just siding with its characters as like, the whole time the show is constantly on the like Lee's like, I know Zarek's a bad guy. I know he's doing stuff on the DL, which like we haven't really seen. The closest we have seen is when in the Black Market episode where Zarek had connections, as you said, to those folks. But then so did Lee by the end of that episode. Like he was also kind of a little dirty at the end there of that episode. So it's like, we're judging this guy for things that like our characters do as well. And yeah, it's like nothing that Zarek does in this episode is as bad as what Adama was doing, which is literally arresting the vice president, doing another coup, which, we consider bad when it's Rosalind, but when it's Zarek, he's definitely a bad guy. So the coup, like arresting the vice president, military commander doing it is fine, I guess now. And we're not going to question it at all. And also like being authoritarian and dictatorial to telling what people to do, ships to do. So it's like, yeah, it's just very frustrating. So
Yep. No,
yep.
it's bullshit. It's a big old massive dollop of bullshit.
Yeah, like I'm saying, Team Garrick, Team Gata and Zarek, I guess I'll call it Garrick. Their ship name is Garrick.
Team Garrick.
Team Garrick all the way, minus Gata's racism. We can leave that.
Yeah.
So, and worth saying, like Zarek's not overtly racist. Like Gata is overtly racist.
Gata
is not.
Yes, for sure. Zarek has not been.
Yeah, he's
like,
understandably distrust the Cylons.
Validly.
Yeah.
Again, like as the viewers, we have an understanding of their sincerity that like he doesn't have.
Yes, which I, again, agree. Like, yes, he has been distrustful of the Cylons for 100% valid reasons, over and over and over again, valid reasons, but he's never been overtly racist. Like, I don't think we've ever seen him use the hard R, like Gata does. So, yeah. Anyways, so yes, they bluff Zarek. Athena boards the Tilium ship and forces it back, and they sort of go, understood. And then we cut back to Zarek, who is talking to someone who is unseen from what we learn is Gata. By the end of the scene, he says, every revolution begins with one small act of courage. This will have consequences, deadly consequences. And Gata says, I've thought about the consequences. The world is turned upside down. Someone has to turn it right side up. Are you that man? And Zarek says, I'm one of them, but I need a partner. And the two of them shake hands. So yes, they have formed an alliance.
And again, played as an ominous thing when I'm like,
yeah. Again, outside of Gata's racism and I guess Zarek being dirty, since even though that's out of character,
which like honestly, I can't even take that on board. That is such a complete out of their ass pull. I'm like, bullshit. I'm discarding this from the conversation. You made it up 5 minutes ago, and I don't believe you. So I will not be factoring that in. Thank you very much.
Tilium ship returns, but then we see Adama. He gets a call, and we see that he is sleeping with Roslin. And he says, they found the Tilium ship. Do you care? Roslin says no, and Adama says, neither do I. So they have both disassociated from all the bullshit.
Yeah.
So, and that is our episode.
It's kind of sweet. They put her in the bald cap again, which stop doing that.
Yeah.
She's just got this light bulb head. Just stop.
Yeah. Just have her wear the whatchamacallit, the
scarf, the wrap.
The scarf, the wrap. Looks way better.
She looks like fucking Megamind. It's not good.
It's very funny. Well, that is our episode. I will do a spoiler minute, but I will just need my 60 seconds. So 60 seconds, if you don't mind, on the clock, because I'm going to talk spoilers for the next 60 seconds or so. So if you do not want to spoil, skip ahead that amount of time, just like Vera is going to do in real time.
And go.
All right, so the big thing for me, again, as I said to Vera, whether or not Gata and Zarek will indeed be portrayed as having a point to make. Now, something that she brought up, Vera, is like, will they do a thing that shows them there's clearly the villain by going too far? And I believe that that is the case when Zarek kills the Quorum. I think he kills the entirety of the Quorum, which is a blatant like I want to be an authoritarian power grab moment, if I recall it in the episode. But again, we'll see as we get into it. So there is that, but I am trying to remember if there is a at least they had a point sort of thing to this, because I remember, and I think this is probably one of the best considered storylines of the series, which is the mutiny storyline. But I want to see if at least I hope it leads to a point where like it pushes Adama and Roslin to think better of how they go about politics, but
Time.
we shall see by the end of this. So, what'd you think of the episode?
I don't know, man. Like I legit feel like I am a terrible judge of the quality of the show at this point because even when an episode is decent, like it doesn't help
Yeah, yeah.
anymore for me. So I'm like, there's some parts of this that are okay, but like between the show's continued failure to realize how completely morally fucked Ty and Caprica are, its absolute ass pull to try and make Zarek into a proper villain as opposed to like just a pain in people's asses. I don't believe it. The bullshit with Nikki, which again I called like basically a season ago
Yeah.
because that was what mid season three that shit.
No, we learned at the end of season 3. So you called it basically since the beginning of this season.
Yeah.
So
It's just such there's all this nonsense and there's a handful of decent scenes like Adama catching her in the run is a good scene. Baltar's breakdown is pretty good.
again, Baltar continues to be the one well done aspect of the show. So
Yep. And whatever, man. We're gonna this is what the problem is going to be until Cavill shows up is the
yeah.
mutiny. Like that's
Yes.
that it I'm not saying that it's like not an earned plot line, but it feels like it is filling time until the more important villains show up and we can actually do the end game of this fucking show.
Well, I mean, yes, there is that. I will say not that it goes very far considering what are also considered to be the best plot lines, but I even put it like this was the considered to be the best plot line of the show is the mutiny plot line. Um,
Okay. Well,
it is considered to be the best plot line, and let me put it this way. Again, we will see how it plays out. Obviously, we've already seen a little bit of a hand tip in this episode of like Gata and Zarek are capital B bad guys. Um, but and I don't think it's going to be a surprise to say like the show kind of falls down on like they're the bad guys of this storyline. But
mhm.
again, the question that I have going into this is there are enough interesting pieces on the table here to be like it's going by very nature of what they've set up morally here. They're going to do a trope that I'm going to dislike, which is like the people who I would agree with politically in real life are pointed out to be like the bad guys within the context morally of the show, even though that kind of is hypocritical of the shows even on some of its own points earlier on, like the whole like Adama does a coup here again, and yet we just kind of do it off screen. What was like
Yeah.
a whole big deal in season 1 of the show when he tells someone to board Colonial One and arrest the vice president, in this case, president in the first season. Um,
Yep.
but what I will say is there are some points on the board that I'm like, okay, I don't remember how it handles these, which is we've had the authoritarianism of Roslyn, which the show has been at least critical of her for throughout this entire season. It has at least made overtures towards like, yeah, she's been politically just strong arming her way through things. Um, which
Yeah,
like which
but I
like
can't I can't help but immediately point out most of those criticisms have come from people who are now being morally discredited by this current
That's
storyline.
that's what I'm saying, which is how much of this storyline will at least do the point of, oh, this will cause, again, the Black Panther thing, which, like, Black Panther is a movie that I kind of dislike, like, for that exact reason, where it's like, oh, Killmonger has a point, but he's going too far with it. So like, we'll have Black Panther sort of take on the criticism, but it'll be sort of like systematizing and liberalizing that idea. So it's like, oh, well, Black Panther will like be like, maybe I should do more outreach to the colonial nations, and I forgot this piece of information, but the end of Black Panther is him buying the neighborhood of
Yeah.
where where Killmonger grew up. So now he's a landlord, and presumably is going to level that housing to build like a whatever, like a place for like Wakanda in America. What do you call those? Like places where other countries build a place.
I
What's
know
it?
what it is, but I love
Just tell me the
watching
word.
YouTube.
Just tell me the word,
The
please.
consulate.
Consulate. Thank you. Jesus Christ. I could not. Yeah. Building a consulate there. So it's like, oh, you're going to level the low income housing and like build a consulate, which will probably raise property value. Anyways, it's a whole fucking thing. But it's like, okay, so it's like we're going to like systematize and liberalize this more radical critique, when the radical critique needed to actually be more radical, maybe not in the whole like, let's murder everybody and get revenge sort of thing, but in a, yeah, maybe we should fight back against these people sort of way. So that is clearly what the show is going to be doing, but to the degree it acknowledges Zarek and Gata's Garrick
It's
and,
the ship name. It's okay.
yeah, well, Garrick's the character in Deep Space Nine. That's why I keep
I
using it.
know.
But like Garrick's, how much the show will allow Garrick's critique of the system to at least be internalized in some level with Adama and Roslin is
We'll
the
see.
question that I have. They internalize it at all, or will it be internalized, or will it be like, oh, they can go fuck themselves, and we've been the capital H heroes the entire time. We'll see. So.
We'll see.
I love your yawn there. All righty.
It
Anything
was
else?
comedically timed.
Anything else? Avira.
No.
Stuff time it is then.
Stuff. You can find my stuff by looking for Council of Geeks, new videos every Saturday on the YouTube channel, which is funded by my Patreon. That is what enables me to do this as my living. I don't know what's going to be out around the time this episode comes out, so go and look. There's also Council of Geeks Break Room, which is where I put my thoughts on whatever I have watched, listened to, read, or played lately. You can see my review of Again Again up over there, amongst other things. Um, I'm also on Blue Sky intermittently. Like the days that I post, I'll post like 8 things in 2 hours and then I won't post anything for a week. But I'm technically on there. And that's the geeky stuff. There's also the spicy stuff. Look for
Also the
Vera
spicy
Wild,
stuff. Look
Wild
for
spelled
Vera Wild,
WYLDE. And you can get
WYLDE.
increasingly spicy content
Increasingly
on YouTube,
spicy.
TikTok.
YouTube, I'm winning. I can make you laugh again. I did it. It's been more consistent.
I'm tired, man.
I'll take the win where I can get it. You can follow me at Jesse Gender on YouTube, where I have video essay style of stuff. The Starfleet Academy video will 100% be out by the time you hear this, unless I get fucked over by the copyright system yet again, because as of right now, it looks like I'm just running out the clock on the copyright things, and it has 13 more days until they're gone, and then I can post the video. So you'll have to just wait 14 days. So basically, when you hear this, that video will be out again, unless the copyright has fucked me again. So go check out that video. I have Just Gender After Dark, where I do news, reviews, reactions. I have my podcast Genre Friction over there. I am also going to be reviewing Star Trek Strange New Worlds when it comes out, I think in a few weeks from this point. I think it starts in July, maybe August. I don't remember for sure. And then also, as of now, I have 2 other podcasts that I am doing. I'm doing Cast of Kings, which is the House of the Dragon podcast that I'm doing for season 3 over with Kim Renfro, who is the author of the Unofficial Guide to Game of Thrones. So you can check us out over on that podcast. I also have the podcast Starter Trek, which is a podcast where Tawny Newsome introduces her friend Andrew T to Star Trek for the very first time, watching random episodes out of order. So Andrew has no idea what the hell is going on. and it's a very fun time. And I am there as their producer and occasional, actually kind of person. So check out that podcast. I am also on Nebula, which is a streaming service that houses my movie identities, as well as the show Subliminal that will be coming out at some point, presumably still this year. It's a whole thing behind the scenes. We'll figure it out as we go, but it will come out at some point. And I am over on Patreon that helps me pay my bills. Please support me there. And I am on Bluesky and Instagram. That is everything for me. Anything else, Vera?
Nah.
And I hope y'all live long and prosper.
Be seeing you.